Welcome to the Whiskey Explorer. Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode, guys. If this is your first time to the channel, if you could please do us a quick favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let us know what you think about this bourbon, and we'll get the conversation continued at the Whiskey Explorer. And as well, guys, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, my handle there is Whiskey Explorer 1. So that's Whiskey Explorer 1 on Instagram. I would be happy to have you guys join me there for some conversation as well. All right, guys, and tonight we have got an interesting bourbon for you guys. We have got some Old Forester. We've got the Old Forester 1897 Bottled in Bond. All right, guys, so this Old Forester Bottled in Bond, the 1897, this is part of the Old Forester Whiskey Row series, which is sort of a celebration of the, start of Old Forester, as well as primarily sort of the focus of the Whiskey Row series is showcasing some Old Foresters that they think may have been, similar recipes throughout history during specifically Prohibition. So this one here, of course, the Bottled in Bond Act of 1897, of course, very important in terms of keeping the quality of the bourbon intact. And that was, of course, brought about because there were so many additives being added to whiskey. So things like prune juice and even, disgusting things like they'd empty the spittoons into there and, adding all sorts of other things just to sort of try to carry the flavor a little bit more of the actual whiskey. So the Bottled in Bond Act was introduced to kind of eliminate a lot of those problems that were turning up in bourbon. And the rules for Bottled in Bond bourbon are that it has to be distilled by one distiller in one distilling season. It has to be at least 4 years old, and it has to be 100 proof. And the whiskey actually has to be stored and supervised in a government bonded warehouse. So those are sort of the main four stipulations for having a Bottled in Bond bourbon. So that's kind of cool. At least we know this one is at least 4 years old. But of course, the heat-cycled warehouses of Old Forester kind of do add some sort of enhanced sort of accelerated aging, perhaps. So we'll see if that kind of shows up in the bourbon here tonight. So let's go in and have a look at the color in the glass before we get started here. So it's actually a very nice color in the glass. It's sort of like a medium, almost to dark, sort of trending towards dark copper color. So very nice color in the glass, actually. And I was already starting to get some of the nose there, actually, when I just kind of brought it past my face there to show you guys the color. So going for a nosing here. On the nose, cheers. Wow. That's actually a really good nose, guys. It's for me, it's very desserty. There's that deep, kind of rich banana bread note that popped up immediately. That's what I kind of got a waft of when I brought it towards you guys to kind of show for the color. That's very present. That is the dominant note here. It's almost like banana runts is a good description, I think, or, like a banana candy. Banana Laffy Taffy, if you're in the States, you'll know what that is. Then there's also this nice deep dark cherry note as well as some vanilla mixed in there. Definitely very sweet. There's some butterscotch and caramel joining in there. Very kind of strong on the butterscotch caramel side of things. Very sweet. Very desserty. This, like on the nose at least, would be like the ideal dram to have after dinner, after a good meal, like maybe after a good steak or something like that. So without further ado, guys, let's go in for a taste on the palate. Cheers. So I would say definitely quite a bit more youthful on the palate here. The palate did not quite live up to the nose for me. This is quite sour. There's a very strong grain forward note to this. That's what kind of hits the palate right away. It also, I would say, it's 100 proof, so 50% ABV. I would say this drink's hotter than the proof. I would say it drinks kind of closer to 105. Maybe even pushing 107, possibly. But it's definitely that kind of youthful ethanol hit to it that it has. And then I got some sort of unripe cherry note to it. And that's about it. That's kind of what I got there on the first taste. Let's go in for a second taste and see if I can pull some more notes there. Cheers. All right, so I gave that one there a pretty good chew. Did that off camera so that I don't offend anybody out there. Definitely more flavor came through on, you know, the big sip and the kind of prolonged chew. But I would still say this has like kind of all the kind of qualities of a young craft bourbon. This is very, very much grain forward, corn heavy, high ethanol, kind of hot when it probably shouldn't be as hot as it drinks. And there is just kind of a subtle kind of unripe cherry note, then a little bit of vanilla sweetness. The finish is primarily the sweetness, but there is a little bit of spice there. So there's actually some cinnamon, some cracked black pepper. It is a little bit spicy on the finish, but overall just a little bit of a hot dram, kind of a little bit, feels like a young fiery spirit to me. I think in all honesty, this one just needed more time in the barrel. So also just wanted to talk about price point quickly before we close out the review. So you guys will see that this is actually a little mini bottle here, 375 milliliters. But we do actually, this is one of the Old Foresters that we do get here in Canada. Unfortunately, the Old Forester line is not very inexpensive. It's quite expensive here. So I think this bottle runs at least $70 Canadian, which is quite high, especially for what it is, in my opinion. So about $70 for $70 to $75, $80 maybe, somewhere in that range for the 1897 Bottled & Bond. All right, guys, so thank you so much for joining me for this review of the Old Forester 1897 Bottled & Bond. Until next time, may your sails be full and your drowns be fuller. Cheers.